Good morning, Indira. How are you?
Hi, good. I'm great, actually. Big week, but it's been really, really good.
It's we always get to a Friday and we kind of reflect back, thinking, "Oh no, that was a calm week," or "No, that was a really manic week." And it's like, yeah, but at the end of the day, it's Friday. Take a breather. The sun's coming out. Okay,
Yeah.
reflect
And
on the week
able
almost.
to sort of look at it and say, it was a big week and it was a great week. Look at the points where it might be tired, fell asleep on the couch last night just after dinner for a bit, woke up with people talking, realized it was the TV.
Wait, I'm not outside, right? Wait, no, wait. You know,
Where am I? What time of the day is it? So,
the,
yeah, no, but
I always feel that on a Saturday morning when I wake up, or a Sunday morning, like, wait, it's not, it's a weekend. I don't have to wake up. The alarm's not going to go off. Stay sleeping. Or you wake up, you're like, wait, where am I? Ah, okay, I'm home. Right. It's funny how our mind is probably more active than we are, even if we're sedentary.
yeah, and it also occurred to me was it's very easy to get put off by the tiredness and how we feel after an event. And it just made me think back to what was great about today, what worked well today, you know, even receiving some money today, client paid,
Win.
looking for the things that were good about the day that made that fatigue worthwhile and that it was okay because I'm not very tolerant of fatigue at all. I just why would I ever get tired even at 10 at night, um, so not judging it, not reinforcing for the mind the brain that this has to be hard work and you always end up feeling tired even though. So I was just aware of being careful about what judgments I was making based on how I was feeling by the end of the day. And that was probably also based on a masterclass I'd run yesterday where I was talking about exactly this kind of thing where we do need to remind ourselves and celebrate and see the success in things as a way of reinforcing to your unconscious that this is worth doing. I will feel good at the end of this. So rather than, oh, I'm just going to feel exhausted at the end of this. So that's why I was looking for the good things to say, and it was a good day.
No, and I agree with that. I think it's sometimes we go through a long day. We're doing something quite amazing. It can drain physically, mentally, it can drain you. But I think that emotional side is if you do think like, but what I'm doing is quite powerful. What I'm doing is quite amazing. It's gonna help others. It's gonna change lives. It's going to change my life. And you just give yourself that pause to just recharge that emotion. I think you're absolutely right. You can feel better, even though physically you might be like, right, I'm ready for bed, or
Yeah.
I'm hungry, I'm ready for a meal. Like I think it's just that it's funny just how energy can shift and drain or recharge you depending on your day. I know I personally I've had days where I've had a real back-to-back day, but because I come out of it like, yeah, I smashed that. I nailed that. I actually like at the end of the day, I'm like, I've got energy to do more. And so it's funny. I think it's just weird how energy can work either for you or against you.
Yeah. And what you did was you went back to it helped people, what was the value in this? And when we go looking for the value in it, we actually are judging it by our values.
Mhm.
So that says it was worth doing because I really value helping people. I really value making a change in the world. And I did contribute to that today. So that's a great feedback system for ourselves to do that because then we are saying we lived our purpose, and that's more meaningful for us than simply being engaged or finding a bit of pleasure, momentary pleasure in something. And we know science knows that that's how we elevate our happiness levels and how we stay happy for longer. So you've got a really great inbuilt skill there.
No, cheers. Thank you. No, but going back to your point just there on purpose, I think when you feel that you've fulfilled your purpose for the day, like nothing's more powerful. And I feel, I was having a conversation earlier this week with someone, and they said, a real shitty meeting with someone, and I was feeling really down and out. I'm like, ugh, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? And they remind themselves like the work I do, makes people healthier mind, body, and soul. And so I actually love what I do. So it's almost just kind of regrounding yourself to, hey, yeah, something may have taken energy away, something may have taken me away from my purpose, but actually, no. I stuck my ground, and I managed to deliver my purpose, and that's most important.
Yeah. And so how do
I
you feel when you do that? When you what does it do for you?
When I reground into my purpose,
Hmm.
do you know? I appreciate you asking that. What it does is something that even I'm trying to do with live, breathe, believe. Know you to be you. I think by regrounding into my purpose, it really allows me to understand my motivation. By understanding my motivation, I know that okay, it's genuine. So whatever I'm doing, there's substance behind it. I'm not doing it to just do it out of fear or out of validation. It's coming from within me, and I think that as soon as I know it's coming from within me, that's less energy I'm burning trying to seek validation, seek external something to give me a reason to be,
Yeah.
and that I feel just allows me to feel more powerful, to help others, help myself, and yeah, um, be very consistent with the purpose that I'm driving.
Yeah.
How
So
about you?
that says to me that you're working with your intrinsic motivation rather than extrinsic motivation. And extrinsic motivation we become addicted to, because if that's all we're relying on, we have to keep finding more and more of that. Whereas, and it's a bit like getting the gold star or the elephant stamp at school
Hmm.
that made us feel good. And there is an element of psychology where we can use that to reinforce behavior. We do it with training animals, However, we're human, and if we're talking as we do about conscious leadership, then when you're tapped into what you said was kind of more meaningful for you and living, you're living your purpose, you're in your own higher self. That's your own source saying you are being your greatness.
Hmm.
And so that's self-referring, and we know that that feels wonderful. That's our bliss. We're living our bliss. And we don't need to then be looking for those external things. And in fact, we can be resilient when that it's not there, or we can be more self-referring when it isn't there from somebody else, or someone's telling us the opposite and maybe saying not such great things, or saying I didn't like what you did. But you're talking about something that says to me that you're lining up with yourself. So I was thinking, oh, that's authentic self, rather than this is more of like a motivational self that's looking for something to stay motivated. And as we've talked about before, we have to use those tricks. We understand enough about how the mind works in order to make the shift, but we're doing it because we want to get back into being lined up with ourselves.
Totally agree. And it reminds me about a previous chat we had where I think the more you know why, as soon as you know your mind is playing tricks on you, and something external is almost kind of trying to like gnaw at what you know is true and what you're trying to do, you're almost able to kind of almost go pause, like stop, hang on a second, and then almost kind of like I need to get out of my mind. I need to kind of almost reground into my purpose. And something that we even were speaking about last week, it's you mentioned, I love this comment you made when a lot of stress comes from something we don't have evidence for. And I find that to be incredibly powerful because it's almost like it's this, something plays at our mind, and we get stuck in a rut, and we almost get trapped like in a hamster wheel in our brain. And until you're able to be aware of, hang on a second, that's happening. Let me pause, pull back. Okay, this is something playing a trick on me, or it's weighing on me and it doesn't have any value. It's creating stress for me in the absence of real substance. Like,
Yeah.
just let me ask you, what do you think about, why do you think that we give ourselves stress for something that we don't have evidence or proof for? Where does that stem from for you?
Well, I was going to see if you wanted to work through one of your own examples, actually, but just quickly, it comes from the ego trying to keep us safe.
Hmm.
So our mind will always go to, is this safe? It's the first thing it will go to. Where we get trapped is staying in, looking for all the things that could go wrong that may not keep us safe, right? It's survival instinct, essentially. And so what we have to be able to do is find the evidence for, weigh up the evidence for how safe this is or not, and have a plan. And the minute we say, I need a plan, we've come out of the old brain, out of the amygdala and the limbic system, and which is in the back of the brain, and we've moved into frontal lobe, into frontal cortex, and that's the executive brain that starts to make decisions in a more rational, cultivated, and cultured way. That's the more sophisticated human being that we've become. So it's just this, and apparently there isn't really a very strong pathway that's developed in the brain yet between those two things. So it always feels, I can feel how that's a gap. I have to catch myself, think about what I've just thought. Oh, what am I feeling right now? Oh my gosh. And saying, wait a minute, move into executive brain that's going to be able to look at this more objectively, and or move into higher self and see how it sees the situation. How does my wise inner self really see this? And what's its view of the situation? So that they're the things we've talked about in the past with the three voices, is all the thoughts, the beliefs. So what I heard you doing was effectively making a belief very quickly out of, am I safe or not? And not going then into, hang on, isn't this about living my purpose? So, and I'll strategize for that. I'm a smart person. I've got lots of resources, and no, I can't see the future essentially. However, I can, the great thing about being human is that we've got a phenomenal ability to scan the future, as in imagine what might happen or how we would like it to be. And that's actually where we create from. That is how we create our destiny. So when we're stuck in the, oh, this could happen and I'm feeling anxious, we're a long way from actually creating the reality we would rather have.
And I that blows my mind, because I think, again, we tend to create things, or we tend to allow ourselves in different moments to be victim of things. And it's, something I've been thinking about and chatting with colleagues about is anxiety and anxiousness. And we go back to the point of the three voices. As soon as I feel like, yeah, you're caught back there in that anxious, and you're like, oh, what if, and how about, and what am I going to do? And it almost limits certain people from being able to kind of go, hang on, pause, come to the front, come to the rational side, and almost just create a simple step-by-step approach to, or a nurturing approach, if it's not step by, to kind of get yourself back on track, and to reground yourself in the present, into your purpose, to then push forward. Um,
So is that your strategy? Is that what you do? Reground yourself and then
it,
move, and then reconnect with purpose? Is that your strategy for moving from old brain into executive brain?
it has become my strategy. I would say over the last year or two, I think I've actually gotten better at it. And when I say what I mean by I've gotten better at it, I have had moments where I spin, and like I self doubt, and I second guess, and I look for external validation, and I canvass the room for opinions and ideas, and I don't really kind of like I almost lost sight of myself, and like, what is it that I want, and what is it I think, what is it I believe.
Mm.
And I think over time I've started to become more aware of that. And as soon as I know, oop, I'm seeking too much external, or oop, I'm getting caught up in something that really doesn't add any value. Oop, I'm caught up in my head. Oop, I'm second guessing and not acknowledging that I've done this before. I think I've just become to the point where, yeah, I actually, rather than nurture myself, I actually do kind of go, okay, step one, stop. Step two, step back. Step three, okay, now remind, and then just put together step by step how you want to move forward, and why are you doing it. It always comes back to, why am I doing this? And if I know why I'm doing this, and
Mm.
it's clear and real to me, then I'm able to go, okay, uh, push forward.
So that's intention for me. That's what I would call intention. You know why, you know your why, and that is about intention. And that's the place we create from, unless we know we put our intention behind an idea or a thought. It will start to manifest. It will actually start to come into being, because apart from any other universal forces that might be at work, our unconscious is listening all the time, and it will just start going into making that happen for you. That's what it does. It doesn't actually make a judgment about whether it's a good idea or not. It just says, oh, is that what you want? So, righto, let's go looking for that. And actually, there's a part of the brain called the RAS. I don't know if we've talked about this before.
Mm-mm. No, the RAS.
RAS, capital R, capital A, capital S. It stands for Reticular Activating System, and it exists in the brain.
Yeah.
It's
Sorry, you're gonna have to bite size that for me.
So it's called Reticular Activating System. And reticular means coming back on itself, right?
Okay.
And and so what happens is that as soon as we say, oh, next car, bright shiny Audi would be nice. What happens? We go out in the street, and everywhere we look, we're starting to see bright shiny Audis.
Yep. Been there.
That's the RAS.
Okay.
So we can use it to find the things we want, or we can use it to find the things we don't want. Either way, whatever we focus on is what we get. That's why we can say, from a neurological perspective, why we can say what we focus on is what we get. Because as soon as you plant that seed and it's listening, it will go looking for it, and it scans. It's a matching up system. So this is why intention is so, so important. So the more anxious we get about something, and the more focused we become on not having that happen, your RAS doesn't hear that. It just looks for that thing. So you might want to avoid it, but it's like, there it is over there, and there it is over there, and there it is over there. And suddenly our realities become full of all the things we don't want to see, all the things we're scared of.
See, and that, okay, can we maybe help me out with that a bit more? Because I am definitely someone who's done that, who does it, has done it. Let's take careers, like let's take jobs. Let's say, for example, I see someone sorry, I want a job. I aspire to another role, senior role, bigger paycheck, bigger house. So I aspire, and in my mind, I'm creating this, as you said, I'm kind of like I'm creating this, and so suddenly I kind of am doing things to seek my way to achieve that, to obtain that. Is that similar to what you're kind of referring to in terms of, you know, or not? Maybe I'm missing it. Help me with that here, because
Yeah, I
I
think
think sometimes we almost look for what we think we want: partners, work, car, wealth, but or maybe not. Help me here.
so. What you said was you're looking at how you'll get that. You're looking at how you'll make that happen. But
Mhm.
how focused are you on the house that you want, the job you want to have, the relationship you want to have, and compared to how you will do it? Because the reticular activating system will start identifying the house, the relationship, the job for you, and say, did you notice that? And for me, it's like something lights up. Like I remember one time I urgently had to find somewhere to live with my two little girls, because the place I was going to rent fell through at the last hour, and I was essentially homeless. And I had to find something. I took 2 days off work and said, I've got to do this now, because at the weekend I'm out and I have nowhere to go now.
Mhm.
And the woman decided she did not want to leave her house after all, and she wasn't going to rent it to me.
Wow.
So I was just going through the local paper, and I obviously had clear in my own mind exactly what I needed, and 3 bedrooms, 2 kids, me, 3 bedrooms, etc. The area we needed to be in because of the schools. And so there were all these criteria of ideal place to be. But when I was scanning through the rental list in the local paper, one just jumped. It was like it lit up on the
Mhm.
page. And I rang the agent, who wasn't in our area, as it turned out, and went and spoke to him, went through the whole thing, went to see the place. It was perfect for us. But it was, that to me is, my intention was very strong. All the other options were fuzzy, and the one that was right for me just leapt out of the page. And I've come to trust that. That's often what happens. You get on LinkedIn and scrolling through all those different roles. Which one's actually starting to sort of jump out at you as well? Because your unconscious is honing in. The radar system's working really well, and it will land it. So you might meet someone and you realize you're having a conversation and there's something you just know you have to say to them, that's, I might be able to do this for you. And I've had that happen recently as well. I need to say that actually I do this. And it led to work. I felt a bit cheeky at the time, but I could feel it coming out of me. It was like, you need to tell this woman what you do. And it landed me some work with a really great, a massive company with a great brand. So, that lines me up. But I had to trust, and they're beautiful to work with. They pay well. Like, everything about it makes them my ideal clients.
So let me go back to, because then I missed the point at the start when I gave my example of, I'm seeking a big house, I'm seeking a big job, I'm seeking a big paycheck. It's almost like, okay, on one side, if that is genuine, it's not someone else's dream,
Yeah.
then to your point, opportunities that will lead me to that will jump out at me.
Yeah.
I just need to be careful that I'm not, as I love how you said it, it's that radar system is on and it's constantly scanning, but I'm not clouding that radar system with nonsense, with, like, let's say, extraneous stuff that really doesn't truly mean something to me. Like, I would love to have a Maserati, but am I gonna, like, seek out jobs and opportunities that's gonna help me get that Maserati? No, but every time I see a Maserati, ooh, shiny object, nice.
I
But
like
that doesn't mean
it.
I want it. Doesn't mean I'm gonna have it. It's just like a
Yeah.
magpie. I'm just drawn to the shiny object.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so you do need to make a decision and
Mhm.
tell your unconscious, and listen to source, right? You lined up with source and what's best for you. That's really where the choice is coming from. And then you use these other systems to start to find it in the physical world. So if you want the Maserati, you don't actually really have to work out how. That's really what you would like. But what is it about the Maserati, and how does it need to look, and how will you feel by owning that? Like, what does it give you? What's the feeling of it? And then it might not be a Maserati, but it might be something that's better for you, and you still get the same feelings because you're telling. It's not about the car and the brand and the house. It's how you want to feel
Yeah,
be by having those things around you. They're an expression of you. They become an expression of you.
they're not you. It's an
They're not
expression of you.
you, and you don't become something because you've got those. They are an expression of you. So
Which, something you said to me as well the last time we chatted was, when you become clear with what you want, it happens. And I feel like it's like boom, like that's the knowledge bomb after this. It's like, as soon as you clear the radar and you clear the field, it's like, and you just start to let what you're looking for. And I mean, I want to say, like, when it came to my partner, at the beginning of the year, I had this weird feeling end March, and like randomly, and end March, I met the love of my life, and I'm like, okay, cool. Like, it's, I became clear with what I wanted. What values do I want that I would hope she has, and she has it, and she shares them, and it's kind of like clear the field of, like, things that I don't want. And as much as it's that shiny celebrity, ooh, wish he looks like her and acts like her and can dress like her, and it's like, clear the path. You want happiness, you want independence, you want a healthy relationship, and it can happen. It's not going to always happen, but hey, knock on wood. So is that, would you agree with that? Is that similar to what we're talking about clearing the way? And
absolutely, absolutely, because you're getting more defined. So, my example, I think I might have shared this one with you, I'm not sure, but I often tell the story about going to work one day in the middle of winter, and I was completely dressed in black, and it's snowing, and it's grey, and I'm Aussie, right? I love fluoro beach gear. So what, there I am in black, and I thought I just have to buy something red. I've got to have something red. I want to wear something red, and I was going on like that in my mind. I've just got to get something red, and why don't I have something red? I've always had a red jumper at least, and I don't, like, oh, I've got a red scarf. And I got to the end of the street, turned the corner right near work, and as I turned the corner, all I could see was red. Red double-decker bus, red telephone booth, red post box, woman wearing red, red car. And I just went, I literally went, oh, that's my RAS. That's my RAS. And I realized it was saying, which red do you want? Okay, so here's all the reds, Indira. Which one? Which red?
Yeah.
And in that moment, I realized how important it is to get clear about which red. So we can say great house, great car, great relationship, but hey, that's not enough detail, because there's a lot of great cars. I love Maseratis too.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're beautiful cars. So, and the relationship in the house, well, is it a Georgian house? Is it a cottage? Is it a really modern high-tech house? Is it like where is it? So this whole thing of getting clear is really important, because your RAS doesn't know. And what will happen is it starts matching up for you, confusing things, because it's this, but not that. It's that job, but it's missing this. So write your job description for your perfect job. Write the conditions for the home has to do these things.
I love that.
It has to have these things, because otherwise it'll go looking for the bits you asked for, and then you go, oh, that's not it, and it's inefficient. You're wasting time. You're feeling disappointed. It just feeds into, oh, I can't really have what I want. All those misbeliefs.
And the reason why I love that is I just feel like it's the case when it comes to seeking partnership, seeking a house, seeking a job. The more you kind of like, if I think about dating, because I'm sorry, like maybe that's something like, you're gonna go through, go on dates, you're gonna meet people, and it's a numbers game. I was once told it's a numbers game, right? You play the numbers, and eventually you'll play the lottery. After some point, hopefully you'll hit the jackpot. And it's kind of like, yeah, but if you're not clear, if you're not listening to source, if you're not getting more defined with what it is you seek, you're just going to almost confuse yourself. You're going to throw yourself off your trajectory, and you're just going to end up just lost.
And you just told your RAS it's a numbers game. So guess what it'll become?
Right? A numbers game.
It'll become a numbers game. So
you're gonna see like partners like, ooh, number. It's like, and you're gonna, but you can't. Your RAS probably won't help you make sense of it unless you give it clarity and go, but this is exactly as you said, red, but what red? Red blank. That's what I wanted. That's what I was looking for.
And red what? Because I said I want something red. I have to have something red. I didn't say I want a red coat, and it's got to be made of wool, and it has to be Burberry, and it's got, like, I didn't go into that. I just went, oh, I've got to wear something red. It's a good place to start, because a lot of people can't even do that. It's just, oh, I'm wearing black. Oh, I'm wearing black. Oh, it's snowing and it's grey. Oh, I'm wearing black. So yes. And guess what you'll see? Black, grey, snow. It's just.
Oh, it's fair. There's something I was having a conversation with a colleague about the future, right? Whether, it be about our careers, whether it be the next job. And I kind of said to her, I was like, well, I think what we need to do is we need to seek clarity and be open to possibility. And I'm finding that as we talk more about the RAS, I'm like, it is that, like, seek clarity, seek exactly what it is. Like, you're looking for red blank, and then be open to possibility. It might come in a different shape or size, dimension than you had expected, but at least, there it is. That's what it is that you were looking for, and you're going to be drawn to it, or it's going to jump out at you.
Yeah.
I find that incredibly powerful, Indira.
So your intuition about your March, the March thing, when March you'll meet the love of your life. I had a similar thing with wanting somewhere to live, and I was telling people I needed somewhere to be when I first came here, and I'd started my job, and I didn't want to live with family anymore. I wanted my own place, and I had in my mind the kind of place I wanted. And this is where my intuition and my connection with higher self really comes into it, because I kept hearing a person's name whom I knew, and I kept getting this feeling that it's going to be another month or so. It's not here. It's not ready yet. It's not here yet. And I'm push, 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 because and because the thing about this is when we get used to this kind of system working, you know how quickly it can come as well.
Mhm.
So the opportunity can be right there. You better be ready for it.
Yeah.
So or you've missed it, and it's going to have to create it in some other form. So, and that's all right too. But just be aware that timing may not be your idea of timing, and it doesn't have to be a long way off. But in this case, it was holding, it's going to have to hold off a little bit. And as it turned out, it was someone I worked with who ended up happening to call me and say, I've just resigned and I'm going to Bristol. And I was on the train thinking, oh, wow, okay, oh, that's a shame. I'm going to miss her. And then I went, oh, her house, her home. I wonder if they're looking for somewhere. Now, I didn't know. I had never been to her home. I didn't know what it looked like.
Yeah.
What I wanted was a Georgian terrace in a lovely area, good place, trees. And I had always seen a dining room with a bay window with a window seat in it. When she said she was leaving, yes, and it would help a lot because she was actually getting out of her lease early to take on the other job. She said, absolutely, come and see it. Sent me photographs of the house, and it was a Georgian terrace. When I went, and she kept saying, I live in a beautiful house, I live in a lovely house. So she would always say that, but never any more than that, and I didn't ask. And so when I went to see the house, and I walked down the hall and we looked at the lovely lounge, which was huge, and this is the other thing I wanted, floor to ceiling windows and a lot of lights, because it's what I'm used to and it's how I flourish. Walked into the dining room, and here's the bay window with the window seat looking at the garden. And I'm just, okay, this works. Thank goodness I learned to be patient, because I knew it was hold off, wait, it's coming. It's, when I'm going, oh, I can't do this for much longer. I need my own place. But the perfect place, the place I had envisioned, came up. And I was right. That person's name was the person who brought me that place.
But it's just so weird. It happens when you least expect it. Like, you can't plan for it. You can know what you want, but you can't plan for, as you said, when it can happen or how it will happen. But question is, are you ready when it does happen? Because if you aren't, okay, fine, next time. But that example, I think that's beautiful. And I think again we go back to whether it be a relationship, whether it be a job, whether it be about finding a home, just being open to that possibility, but knowing what you want when it strikes, you can jump on it.
Exactly. And you're ready for it, and you set up for it. Or you might have to work really fast to rearrange things so you can have it. And this is where we need to be adaptable and flexible, because you might have to give something up or rearrange it. Next thing you're at the bank looking for a loan, or like you have to move and not be scared of moving fast when it's something you really want. It might feel disruptive, but it's, hey, we can do this. So what I was going to ask you is, what's the fear? What is this anxiety about in the future, or wanting something that's not there yet?
Do you know, I think it's the uncertainty, because you again, I think, okay, let me give you an example. I'd love to be a VP one day. I'd love to be a CEO one day. Everyone knows, everyone has it. And so I think, okay, if I'm not doing certain things, I'm not going to get there, and I'm not going to have that role, that title. And I think it's that fear, that anxiety of, oh, is this next opportunity going to get me there, or is that opportunity going to get me there? And you start to, almost play a bit of, well, is this? I don't know. And you end up almost, it's like a bit of, you're caught then in a bit of quicksand. You start to sink in your own fear and anxiety of, well, let me just give it a chance. Let me just give it a shot. And what I've had to do is almost just kind of go, okay, that's my ideals. That's dreamscape, cool. But in the present, what are those opportunities and experiences that I want, that when that role or that opportunity does present itself, to your point, I'll be ready for it. And I think it's just not fearing that, a step forward is going to make me trip and fall. Like a step forward is still forward progress, as opposed to stepping back or remaining still. And I think that's what I've realized is, mate, just take a step forward, see
Yeah.
what happens. And if you end up taking 2 steps back, that's okay, because hopefully you'll learn from it. And the next time you'll take 3 or 4 or 5 steps forward. There's always forward progress, um, in spite of the unknown and in spite of the uncertainty.
So I want to jump in on that one. There's a couple of things because it's not necessarily that you took a step backward. It could be that you just went off and looked at a couple of other options. And Tony Robbins calls this, and Tony Robbins, the big um, self-empowerment guru, he talks about this being making distinctions. You make your distinctions. So if you want something and you're trying to clarify how it will look and will it shape up exactly how you need it, because it's not just being a VP, it's all the things that come with that and who you will need to be and how life can be and what it will take. He does research. He goes and he drives that car and he goes, you put yourself in it. You talk to VPs. You look at VP roles. You look at, you make your distinctions on what kind of VP. And so there's that element of, because you're clarifying for your RAS, it's VP like this, right? Not just VP. Otherwise, it's too much of a dream and too much of a gap, and it feels unreachable, and you just get disappointed that you're not there yet, and it puts too much pressure on how it will come. So, and the other thing is John Demartini, who's really great on values. He says nothing is in the way; it's all on the way. So as long as you're clear about why you want this role and how it needs to look, it's already on the way, and nothing is in the way. So it's about letting go of the doubt about whether it's possible. You better want it. I mean, one of my own teachers says, you put your intention into something, you get clear about your goal. This is all in coaching. It's all about the goal, but it's about defining that goal in more detail and being sure that is what you want and how you want it to be. And that's really all you need to do. Then the rest is, yes, strategy. You talk strategy a lot. Is, I need to have this kind of job and I need to take that step and I need to do this. And that's fantastic because each one is a mini goal getting you to the goal. And yeah, you use your discrimination. Did this match up? Is this taking me away from it, or is it getting me towards it? But the clearer you get, the less of that you'll have to do and the less time you will be losing while you're doing it. And it's fun, if you're happy to just go try all these different things and do a bit of this and do a bit of that, to know that eventually it might not be right time for VP yet, but you know that all of that is going to have you, some part of you is already there. And some part of you is already there.
I appreciate you saying that, because I think this is where I love that. It's on the way, it's not in the way. And, again, I love it. I just want to requote it. Just, don't put pressure on what it will become. I think it's not getting caught up in that title, that name. It's almost hey, be lost a bit more in the experience. And as you look to it with clarity, as you seek it, it will happen. But whether it happens in the form you expect it to come in or not, that's TBC. And something I've done recently is I actually jotted down 3 to 4 things. I'm like, okay, if and when something is or does happen, I'm going to measure it against these few things. And 2 of them stuck out to me. And one of them will actually stick out to you. The first one is, the measurement is it creating value?
Yep.
And the second one is, does it enable me to be independent? And I know independence is one of your values. And I was like, oh, yeah. So irrespective of the title, I think, you're absolutely right. And you're like, that's, it's just making sure that I take your point to heart and, be clear, be grounded in that purpose. Don't put pressure on it, and see in what form it will materialize, if it's already happening or when it does happen.
Yep. And how worthy do you feel in having them in having that VP role? Do you feel worthy of it?
Ooh, that's a funny one because I've struggled in the last couple of years with do I belong at this table? Do I belong in this role? Do I belong? Do I belong? And again, that's when that as soon as you start second guessing, that's when that self doubt reel starts to play up. And then, if anything, I think the RAS will probably activate and go, "Yep, see, you've done that wrong and that wrong and that wrong." And it's like, no, 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 that's just me tricking myself, and that's not really happening. But obviously, I'm going to look out for the mistakes I'm making or the areas where I'm weak, and they're going to glare out at me. But that's not where I want to focus. I want to focus on what I do know, where I can be adding value, where I can develop, where I can grow, where I can make a difference.
So take
And
a leaf out of your own book, because I know you are great on feedback and I know the way you give me feedback. So when you give feedback, all that is it's just all feedback. That's the reticular bit in the way as well. It's just seeing all of that as feedback for you, not to focus on what went wrong, but feedback for how to be even better. And you focus on that. So this comes back to our conversation around shame and guilt, is just let all that go around what didn't go quite right. We all need to grow. Growth mindset is being okay with not getting it right. So called. Everything is perfect. So you take that and but there's something innate with this that is, if it's right for you to be that one day, and you're working towards that, there'll be an alignment that does not take you off course. There's something in your heart that says, this is where I belong, and I'm deserving of it, because it is where I will create value, and it is what will make me feel independent for that time, because you will grow beyond that as well. And this is the other thing, is we think that's the end point, and forget that there's more.
mm-hmm.
So there is always more, and will never be done, really. So you will get to that, and so see beyond it, or that's the end of your territory, right? Do you fall off the edge into nothing after that? Is the world round? Is it flat? So do you see what we do? And I know I do it as well. It's like we just don't go beyond it. So it becomes an impossible dream. But no, you are in your impossible dream from however long ago now.
Just on that, I remember having a chat with my sister, and she's like, "So where do you want to go? Where do you want to end up in life? Like, as in, where are you going? Not where you want to end up. Where are you going?" I was like, "Well, I hope I'm the CEO of Nike one day." And she's like, "That's brilliant." She's like, "And then what?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's a great question. Next question." But I'm CEO of Nike now. Like, what? I'm made. I've got it made. Like, no, no. But then what happens? What's that next? So you're absolutely right. Sometimes we don't think beyond it. We think, well, that's the finish line. And as they say at Nike, there is no finish line. You do need to think at times like beyond it, or at least like it's just one stop on your journey.
Yeah.
That's not your destination. That's just it's one point.
Absolutely. And I know in working with executives in high performance that this is a really common thing, and there are those who've actually said to me, I can never score myself 10 out of 10 for something, because I can't it can't be done. And the fear is becoming complacent once that goal's been achieved. So they keep pushing the goal further and further out to have that tension of driving for something, and they haven't thought beyond the goal. So, and we know that Olympic athletes can really suffer because they didn't think beyond being on the podium with that medal. So, and it's a very real concern. It does create suicide. It does create breakdowns. So, it's so important to see beyond that goal to at least having a sense of, and that'll be a great step to something else, and I can have that. I can achieve that. That'll be the next thing. So, and it isn't. Is it that you'll become complacent once you're there? It's sort of like, oh, is that it? I've made it. So there's nothing more to life. Oh, here I am. Like retirement. People die a year or two after retirement when they have no goal for retirement. That's a classic one, and there's stats on that. So we always need to be setting up just beyond that as well. So if you're VP, what will that give you? Like, even if you don't know what's the next step in a role, but the next bit is, how are you going to be living? You will be creating more value. You will feel more independent. What will that give you? So in a coaching session around this, I'd be really wanting to unpack what's this going to give you when you're there? And then when you know in your own heart that they're really good, worthwhile, meaningful things to be achieving, right now you will have such a clear intention for it, and you can let go. You can actually let go of the goal then, because you've already set it up. You've already told source
It's
where you want to be.
I mean, I love that. Mind blown. I mean, it's just because it is true. You're almost thinking like, right, I made it, and you're almost like, I got the Maserati, I got the house, I got the job, I got the, you know.
Yeah. So
Then
yeah,
what's next? Like, okay, then you almost it's like, okay, I'll take a breather, and then. But you're absolutely right. I think sometimes people don't. I don't know. Maybe it's a human trait. We're not short-sighted, but we. It's almost like we need to get to that moment. Like if I'm cycling, I'll be like, oh, get over that hill. Got over the hill, and it's like, right, I got to keep going. Oh, so it's like because that's just it's a stepping stone, right? It's not the end goal.
or
Indra,
relish the energy of
okay.
it. They celebrate it and coast down that hill. Like I got over the hill
Yeah,
because it's letting me coast down the other side. So it's like being there, but taking the moment to really reinforce to your system this was worth doing. Because otherwise you get over the hill and you go, oh, I've got to get down it. Well, are you going to want to get up the hill
yeah.
knowing you're going to go, oh, I just got to get down it? So we won't put in effort. We won't put in the time and the patience required when when the goal itself uh, is linked to pain, right? The reward has to be there.
Trust me, as someone who's cycling and running and like literally like the end of it, I'm like, okay, if this pain doesn't have a payoff, I don't know what I'm doing, what I'm thinking, and that can go beyond just physical pain. Again, looking, interviewing for a job,
It's
starting.
called masochism otherwise, like
Yeah, you're like, okay, if this pain doesn't have some sort of reward at the end, or at least if you don't acknowledge the achievement, you
yeah.
know, in the absence of a tangible reward, that should be a reward in itself. And I think that's something we may lose sight of. You know, Indira, I'm going to just kind of recap a few of these amazing thoughts. And this session was amazing for me because one, we started in terms of reflecting on a week and how a week can be quite punchy and busy. And you almost have to go, okay, but, I may be tired, maybe Friday, yay. But it's like, okay, what was that week like? And what drained me versus what gave me energy. And ideally, if you're doing, something purposeful or something that's in line with your purpose, grounded in your purpose, you're going to feel that surge even when you get to the finish line, the end of the week, to go beyond it, to celebrate on the weekend, to kind of mark that achievement and get ready for that next cycle that starts on that Monday. And I just a couple things that stuck out at me is number one, apart from being grounded in your purpose, number two, listen to the source. Number three, get clear. Being more defined will allow you then to number four, and this is again, my mind was blown on this one, the RAS, the Reticular Activating System. So whether you're looking for red, be clear what it is that you're looking for that is red. The fifth point in terms of, let it go when it doesn't go right. The shame and guilt factor, which we have spoken about previously, that can bring your energy down. And then again, just thinking about the future, and I know we had a few pieces in between, but just as you think about the future, I haven't thought beyond the goal. What is beyond it? What's beyond the weekend after a busy week that's going to fulfill my purpose, keep me going, and get me to the next phase. Realizing this is a sense of step to something else, and what's this going to give me once I'm there? So once I'm at the weekend, just keeping it super simple. Busy week, you get to the weekend. What's it going to give me? Hopefully, an ability and a time to recharge, reinvest, and then go again on Monday morning,
Yeah.
and celebrate it. I think we sometimes forget about how we celebrate it. I'm going to pause there. Indira, I mean, because this. What about you?
Well,
Anything?
I was just going to say in finishing up, I know we've got to close, is that this is why reflection is so, so important. And I know you are a really curious, highly reflective person, and a lot of people aren't or want to be and don't make the time for it. And it's that reflection, that time to actually and know what you're reflecting about and what you're reflecting on, that then reinforces and makes it easier all the time. Life is not meant to be hard, and we are meant to enjoy it. But the effort, I'm sure you and I and others and people listening know those moments when you've powered on through and you're almost invincible because of what you want to create out of it. And so we can move mountains literally with the intention of getting to something that's so meaningful for us. So it comes back again to, is this just something that's going to be nice? Because you might get the Maserati, but in a month later, if you don't know what that's going to give you, a month later you'll be looking for another Maserati or better. So because it's the need to keep
Yes.
finding, right? It won't last. This is not lasting happiness, and that's the big myth with so much around this. And the great thing about where you started today and who I know you to be is that it is about purpose. And you did say that it creates value and it will make you independent. So you're coming back to, who do I want to be? What are my ethics? What are my values? How do I show up as a great person? My greatness expressed. So as I said at the beginning, this is about your life then is an expression of you. And is it worthy of you? Is the way your life shows up, how is it's expressed, is it worthy of you? Is that car worthy of you? Is that couch worthy of you? Is that house, is that woman worthy of you? That's how you live from the inside out, not the other way around. Am I worthy of the things? Right?
And I'm sorry. The reason I'm getting a bit animated here is because the reason why I love coaches, and I love coaching, is exactly that. And the fact that you're reminding me, and we're reminding everyone, is this the way life was meant for you? But is this worthy of you? Because sometimes I think we completely forget about ourselves. We discount ourselves. We think about others, and what others think, what others are feeling, or how they're doing. But we lose sight of ourselves. Well, is this worthy of you? Is this car? Is this house? Is this job? Is
Yeah.
this partner? Is this life? Like, and if we lose that, man, the rest is irrelevant, because it's all. I mean, I'm not saying it's selfish, but in a way, it's got to be about you.
Well, because we are what we see. We are what's created in the world. So you want to create beauty, you better be worthy of that. It better be worthy of you. Like that's your contribution. We don't help anybody by choosing ugliness and poverty. We don't, like it goes into a whole other conversation we could have about role modeling and being prepared to stand in wealth and abundance and beauty and love. But when you got so excited and I was listening to you give that back to me, I can tell you what happened in my diaphragm and my heart was like, and I'm sitting up like, yes.
Exactly.
It's so exciting because that source going, yay, they got it, like, yes, they got it. So this is where you can't judge what you have, is if it lines up with how you want to be and who you are, and it means that you're not compromising or betraying your own values. The universe does not care what you own or how much you spend. It's all our own stuff. And I'm saying this to me to reinforce how I'm going to spend my weekends. This is why we clean out the cupboards and why we choose certain brands and why we cook the food we do and drink clean water. It's all comes back to, is this worthy of me? So if we don't know our own self-worth, or we think, oh no, that's for somebody else and not for me, sorry, no. But we need constant reminders, and I definitely do. So anyway, that's a great place to end. I
I
think.
love it. I absolutely love it. Indira, thank you so much. I mean, again, I know something I've shared with Indira folks is, my mission with Live, Breathe, Believe is, know you to be you. And today, I mean, let's just end on that note. Like, just know and ask yourself, is this worthy of you? And sometimes, yeah, you do need to know you to be you, to know if it's worthy
We
for
do.
you. But that's the goal, and that's the journey we're on. And I'll tell you what, I doubt anyone will ever hit that goal. But even if you do, I'm sure there's more to go beyond it. So, Indira, thank you so much. Again, this was brilliant.
Great fun.
I look forward to our next chat, and I think we've even unraveled a few, or we've said a few that we can unpack for next time.
Yeah. Well, this is an ongoing conversation.
Totally is. There is no finish line. There's no end goal. It goes beyond. Love it.
That's all right. Okay, thanks so much. Great fun. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Okay, so we put the camera off and we had a little honest chat. And I realized after having a powerful session with Indira, the very end, she caught onto something I said. And for those of you that have watched the video, you can go back and watch it. Indira, what did I do?
Well, I said to Anil, I'm going to pick you up on something here, because you go back and listen to the end, because you said something that actually just cancelled out everything we've talked about. And that was, you said, and it might not happen, or something along those lines. The exact words, I'm almost gone all of a sudden. But you said something like, you got all pumped up and you're really excited, and I could see genuinely like, yes, this is all happening. You've sent this out now and you're already there, and you've got it. Mentally, you've got it. So your mind's got around it as well. And then you said, yes, and about the car, and then expressing your values. And then you said, and it might not happen, but that's okay. And it was the that's okay and the might not happen that I went, oh, if we had more time, I'd be jumping right in now. There's no way I'd let an executive off the hook with that kind of comment. So you, you said it's okay. It's not okay. If you want to be VP and you know exactly why, and your whole being is already there, then why would it be okay to say, oh, well, if I don't make it, that's all right. And what I also pointed out was, this is going to confuse the RAS, because you've already said, this is what I want, this is where I want to go. And I absolutely know this is about my own independence, this is about creating values, so I am lined up with my values. And then it's okay not to get there. No, it's not okay not to get there, if that's what you want. And you've just confused the RAS, because you just put out all these amazing messages for what you really want. You got right into it. You got into the feeling of it. And that's what your unconscious understands. It doesn't really understand thinking. It understands feeling. So you were right there. Mr. VP was sitting in front of me. And then you went, but it's okay not to be that. So that literally it's going to be, what the F? Like your RAS is going to be, well, now I'm confused. Do you want this or not? Well, do I go looking for this or not?
We're going to explore this further next time, because I think, so let me, from my side, I love that. Now, I am not negated by this. I'm actually powered up by it. Folks, the reason why you want a coach, the reason why you want someone, if they're not a coach, they're someone you trust, someone that they believe in you and you believe in them. They call you out when you trip yourself up, when you throw a cinder block in front of you and block your own path. And you make yourself, and as Indira said to me after, I'll excuse it in case it doesn't happen. No, don't make excuses. Think big and go big, right? I used to use an expression, Indira, go big or go home. No, just go big, full stop, and full stop. And I'm even someone who says, don't ever use the word but, because that's a limiter. Don't limit, don't make excuses. So on the next chat, we're going to go further on this. And I love it, because you know what? My future, my aspirations, my dreams, I'm worthy of them. And Indira, thank you. I appreciate that. So I want you all to hear that, because yes, someone like myself, as transparent as I am, if I'm going to get called out after when the camera's off, I want you all to know that I can trip myself up too. So go big.
Yeah, absolutely.
Love
and
it.
that that's where we get so into that automatic speak that we've learned or taught ourselves, and it just kicks in, but your unconscious is listening. It never switches off. So anyway, I know that you're working with this. You've cancelled that. Just go cancel. It's okay. It's gone.
No, but I've learned from it. It's gone now, but I've learned from that. So that's the key. Cancel. I love that. Yes. Cancel. Indira, we're going to speak more about this soon, but thank you so much. Again, so grateful.
See you later.
Have an amazing day, folks. Take care. Big hugs.
Bye.